have a drink.
Yeah, for sure. Well, good afternoon. And if you're in Europe, it's good evening to you. And I just found out that the clocks fell back in Europe. So I've been putting all the wrong times on things for people that are on Greenwich Mean Time. Anyway, I am Bruce, aka the guy in the blue shirt. And I am very honored to be the brand ambassador for a company called Rever. And if you want to learn how to empower your frontline teams, you can go to reverscore.com, or you can just reach out to me and I will give you a free site to go register at. So I am very honored to have Dana, and Dana is going to do a introduction. Just want to make sure we are live. I'm going to ramble here a little bit, Dana, to keep people because
Okay, I know you never know when we're live, when we're not live. It would be nice if like a big button went on or something, like a light.
I know. Well, it says live up in my little screen, but I have somebody. I have somebody always check for me on my end because I'm not good at doing two devices at the same time. I'm not super tech, you know.
Because there's a lot of navigating with trying to check, are we live, the comments, carrying on the conversation. So lots of moving parts.
I see it now. All right. Thank you, Gracie Ruth. All right. So, Dana, why don't you give everybody an introduction and a little bit about yourself and where you're from and what you're up to these days?
All right, perfect. So my name is Dana Mantilia, and I am the founder of Identity Protection Planning. We try to help people educate themselves on identity theft protection and cybercrime awareness, which is obviously lots of hot topics these days, and unfortunately only getting bigger and bigger. So that's what I do. I started my company back around 2017, and then we have an identity theft protection product, which monitors your credit and all that kind of stuff. And then I started posting on LinkedIn and realized that these videos were being helpful to people because there's a lot of stuff that people need to learn about this whole identity theft world.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, if people didn't see today's was a great example of where people that are knowledgeable about this even get the opportunities to get caught out, right, Dana?
Yep, that's for sure. I mean, the post they did today was about how someone in my office actually fell for one of these gift card scams, and the person had pretended that they were me emailing them, and then they said they wanted the conversation to jump over to text messaging. So she gave me, quote unquote, her cell phone number and the email, and then they were texting back and forth, and the person said that they were looking for some gift cards and that I had a presentation. Could you quickly run out? And she was like, sure. So then she comes up to my door and she's standing there with her coat on. And I said, why do you have your coat on?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So I will welcome people as they join, but Dana and I are actually going to have a little lively conversation about smartphones and what tech companies know about us. So if you have a question that we can go back and answer afterwards, we'll be delighted to do that. So welcome, Giselle, and welcome my trusted, loyal connection, Gracie. Gracie is so supportive with all my lives and helps me make sure that I don't do anything too silly. So easy to do in this world of technology when you're not a techie. So
yes, that's for sure. That's for sure.
So I'm intrigued about this subject because I literally just got an upgrade to an iPhone 11, and so what about these smartphones, Dana? What is it that's going on, and what's the top couple of things that we should be aware of?
All right. Well, I always like to start out by saying I am not a technical person either, but I just follow some of the basic stuff and then I try to break it down so that everybody can understand it. So as far as the smartphones go, we obviously have them everywhere we go. Our phones know more about us now than our spouses or anybody in our family, if we're really going to be honest. And with everything running in the background of these devices, these companies, these social media platforms are listening and tracking, tracing every single thing that we do. They're listening to the microphone. They're tracking your geolocation. They're looking at the likes. They track how long you scroll, if you pause, if you type in capitals. It's insane. And they take all this information and then they put it together with artificial intelligence, and they basically can then predict exactly what's going to keep you on that platform, and if you go off of the platform, how they get you back onto the platform, because that's their whole objective, is getting you on their platform and keeping you there. And hence, when you're not even on it, if you don't log out of these applications, which most of us don't completely log out of the account, you may think you're not in Facebook right now, but it's still running in the background.
Mm-hmm.
With your Google account, so all these things are always on and always listening, so to say.
Wow. So, are they automatically then, do we automatically give permission for all of that stuff to run, or what? How does that work, Dana?
Yeah, pretty much when we sign up with all of these apps, we always have to remember, if something is for free, not costing you anything financially, you're paying for it somehow, some way, right? So we're paying for all this by giving our data and letting them into our inner worlds and seeing everything that we do on there. So that's what they do. They take that information and then they sell it to advertisers to make money. Then those advertisers then use that information to sell whatever their product is.
Oh, okay. So, is there a simple way to do, I think it's called opting out. Is that the correct term, Dana?
Yes, there's a few things that you can opt out on. I mean, the main thing, this wasn't with cell phones or anything, but you can opt out of receiving pre-approved credit card offers. I always talk about that. It's always a good thing to bring up. But because identity thieves are going into mailboxes and then they're taking out these offers and then they're filling them out and sending them in. If you go through your phone and you go into your security settings, it will show you which apps you have access to, your microphone, your photos, your contacts, your emails, and some of these. Let's take a flashlight app, for example. Why does the flashlight app have to have access to my contacts and my emails and my photos? It doesn't. It's just because it's, that once they get that information, then they can go, sell.
Oh, okay.
So you get a free flashlight app. And meanwhile, your whole life is being sold off to somebody.
Wow. That's kind of scary, right?
Yeah, it definitely is. It is.
You can't run and hide anymore, huh?
No, I don't think there's any hiding at all for anything. And, and I always say the phones are listening, and they really are. They really are. I know I sound like, a freak sometimes, but a lot of these internet devices that we have, the Internet of Things, the connected devices like Alexa and Siri, they're listening. And there's an app setting you have to go into for Alexa, and you have to turn it off to make her not be listening all the time, so that she'll maybe only be listening when you say Alexa.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen some interesting docu-stories about that, where actually they used it as evidence in some things, in extreme cases where, Alexa or a typical device was actually on standby in the background, but it was still recording. So they've used it for evidentiary things. So amazing. Anyway, just wanted to welcome a few more people. Karina is here in Southern California. And hi, Carzel. She is down in Florida, so she's a relatively new connection. So we're spreading the word here, Dana, isn't it? Awesome.
Great.
So, is there a simple way or do you have to literally go through every single application and change the permissions?
You do have to go through every application, but I think the quickest way to start is to just look through all those apps. Go through your phone and open up where it says apps and go through each one and say to yourself, do I even use this app anymore? Because sometimes we downloaded an app, you were in the woods and you download a compass app or something like that, 3 months ago when you were camping. If you don't need it anymore, take that off of there, and then you don't even need to worry about that app. Then with the remaining ones, you can go through and individually see, does this one really need to have access to my camera? If not, sometimes you can turn these things off and sometimes you can't. They'll say, well, if you turn this off, then you can't have the app anymore. And then you have to weigh, do I really need this app or can I get rid of it and not use it? So,
well, I did this by mistake. I was setting up my my updated iPhone 11, this one. And I think if you hold on the app screen, I think I did it by mistake, but if you hold on the app screen for a couple of seconds, it gives you the app will come alive and it'll give you an X out button. And that's the fastest way, I believe, to remove an app, right?
That's also an easy way to help move them around if you want to organize them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
you can drag and drop.
when they start shaking, when they all start shaking, if you put your finger on it and you can just move it around, if you want to have like your social media apps together over here, maybe all of your email apps over here, and however you compartmentalize your phone.
Okay.
Yeah. Makes it a little
So have you ever done any little videos on that before, Dana?
No, I haven't. Maybe I should do a video on that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, because I thought it was, I didn't realize the shaking, like the apps were doing this. I thought I was doing something weird, and I thought, oh my goodness, like put the phone down, you know.
I know. Sometimes I do that too, pick up my phone and it's on some weird thing. And I'm saying, how is this thing? Why is this even on? I don't know, but it does. Like it never wants to turn off. I just want it to the screen to go black and not turn back on until I need to use it. But that never seems to work that way.
I know. Part of that campaign of being interactive, it truly is interactive, right? It won't leave you alone. I know. It's like, I'm not a daddy of any kids, but it's like, I guess having another kid, you know, they always want the attention, right? You know, talk to me.
Exactly right. Yeah. And you know what, where I learned a lot of this stuff was there's a movie on Netflix right now that I think everybody should watch. I keep telling everybody that it's called Social Dilemma. And it talks about this whole social media, the psychology behind the social media, because there really is, when they put this together, the psychology that went into it is basically the same thing as like a gambler's mentality. It's the chance of maybe. So when you're pulling that, the lever on the slot machine and you're waiting and waiting to see, am I going to win? Am I not going to win? That's called the chance of maybe. And that's the same thing on social media, where if you post something, you're waiting for someone to like it. You're waiting for someone to comment on it. You're going back and seeing, am I having any activity? That kind of thing. And so they admit that right in there that Sean Parker, who was one of the Facebook presidents, he admitted that they all knew that they were doing this and they did it anyway. And now they're all starting to realize that, well, some of them are starting to realize that this is getting out of control. So anyway, at the end of the movie, I messaged some of the producers and I said, I really want to get involved. How can I help here? Because this is getting crazy, where you don't even have any relationships anymore. Everything is through a device. I mean, you look at a table of teenagers at a restaurant when we used to go to restaurants. They're all sitting there in their own little world on their phone, not even communicating with their friends. And this is a problem because these kids are getting addicted to this whole thing. So anyway, I contacted them and they directed me to this website called dni.org. And the whole thing is a whole presentation. You can get certified in it. I got certified in it. And it goes through how you can present to parents about the whole problem and what we can do to start, trying to deal with it and get relationships back, the device-free dinners and all that kind of stuff, and limiting the amount of time that everybody's on these things. And so I highly recommend that. Highly recommend the Social Dilemma, starting there.
Awesome. So what was the website? Could you say that slowly again?
DNI.org, I believe.
DNI.org. Okay, that's awesome. Well, and while we take a little breather, hi, Odessa, all the way from the UK. Hi, Odessa. She's a connection there in, I think, central London. And again, lots of great comments. Ursula, thank you for joining us. So not sure which are also your connections here, Dana. But anyway, talking of a device-free dinner, I got into trouble last night. I have a younger wifey, and I thought we had an agreement that over dinner we would have 15 minutes where she doesn't touch the device. But so I got sideways with her last night because she was like eating and playing on her phone at the same time. But then of course I didn't ask what you were doing. I just said, hey, I thought we were doing 15-minute device free, and I got into trouble because it turned out she was talking to her sister who's just had her first baby and they were leaving the hospital. So it's like so I was in the device free doghouse last night after doing that.
Oh, that's funny. Sorry.
Didn't accomplish the doghouse, the device free doghouse zone. So oh well. Anyway, it's fun. So what do you see? I realize that you're not a high techie, but you use the tooling of technology like I do, Dana. I've forced myself as a kind of, older baby boomer to figure out how to use technology to my advantage. So, so what do you see the tech companies are up to based on what you do research on and some of the content you get pushed your way? So.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with, again, that whole, how are they going to get you onto their platform, and how are they going to get you to stay on their platform? And, they are changing. LinkedIn, we're big on LinkedIn. You and I both are big on LinkedIn. A lot of people that maybe they signed up with LinkedIn 10 years ago and they haven't gone back since. And I think it's starting to become the new platform ever since Microsoft bought it. You can see there's a lot of new changes. They're trying to freshen it up, the look of it. And now we have LinkedIn stories. So that's interesting to see everybody bumbling around in that little world.
Yeah, I have no clue how it works. So
it's from Instagram. So Instagram stories, and I'm not savvy with Instagram at all, but you take a quick little video or post a picture, and I think it can only be 20 seconds long, and it's supposed to be much more casual, much more just not scripted and whatever. So like right before we came on, I'm always trying to find it, what am I going to do for this LinkedIn story thing? So I never ever put anything on there, but I was like, oh, I'll put on that we're going to go live. So I did like a little 10-second, we're going to be live at 3 p.m. So
awesome.
It helps if anybody watches it between the time I said it and before we go on. But
right, yeah. So well, that's good to know. And yeah, you're right. It's platforms are all about keeping people on here. And the tip, can I give a tip out that I see a lot of people making a little faux pas on LinkedIn?
Yes, go ahead.
So the one that I see is a lot of people will put links to another website in the main body of their posts. And if you do that, it works. However, LinkedIn have gotten real savvy about, they will kind of downgrade your posting. So it will get a lot less exposure to people that you hope you might reach by that. So the key thing there is take the extra couple of steps and make your posts, and then go to the comments, the first comment below your post, and put in there any cross-reference or a short link to another website, because again, it's not as downgradable as a post when that happens if it's in the comments. Again, I'm sure LinkedIn want to keep you there for as long as possible, like every other platform. So that's the one I see. And then the second one is overusing hashtags. So my understanding, and maybe this is true or not true, maybe you can help me here. My understanding is that 3 is the optimal number of hashtags to use in any given post. What's your understanding, Dana?
I think that's pretty good too, is 3. I know some people, there's tons and tons of them on there, and I don't think it really does anything. I think maybe a while ago it was a big thing. I've never really been too proficient even with hashtags, but yeah, I think you're right. I think from what I've heard people saying, what works for them, 3 is a good number.
Yeah, I believe they will downgrade. They'll kind of call it hashtag spam, almost like internal spamming. So it will also get a downgrade. And but the upside of hashtags, like I had you use yours, I find hashtags, if you're very interested, like I am, in keeping long-term relationships with meaningful connections, it's a great way to be able to do a very quick review of all of their content. So you can put in the hashtag in the search line on LinkedIn, and it will give you a newest to oldest list of all of their content. So not sure if people know that or not. And we, right. So that's, to me, I use the hashtag simpler, faster, better. So I really do try and help people do things simpler, faster, better. And so if you have a popular set of connections and they have hashtags, you can search on their hashtag that they might use, and you'll get a really quick way of seeing all of their content in one list. So pretty powerful.
Yeah, that's why I came up with my Identron mom one, because sometimes people will message me and they'll say, how come I'm not seeing your stuff anymore? And I say, I don't know, that's LinkedIn. That's beyond my control. But so I made this, and then I just put them in there. So, I mean, I think I have like 3 followers on my hashtag, but that wasn't really why I did it. I just did it so that if somebody wants to see them, they can go there and check them out. But
yeah, right. So again, it's, we all have one commodity that's non-recyclable, which is time.
Mm-hmm.
you can't rework time, and people are always saying, well, they don't have enough time. So if you can find time saving little tips and tricks to use, then I'm all about sharing those and helping people learn those. So
Absolutely.
so what else do you see in either the smartphone bugaboos, or well, what's your pet peeve on either smartphone or technology right now, Dana? What's your number one pet peeve?
Well, I have a lot of pet peeves. I think the biggest thing is the lack of personal one-on-one communication that's happening, and especially with the kids. And I had mentioned before about the addiction factor, and this is a really serious problem because addiction doesn't go away; it just transfers to something else. So we have this whole generation of little people that are using these devices from the time they're probably 10 years old, and they are on these things all day long, all night long. And the way they communicate 24/7. I mean, when I was a kid, we had to wait till the next day to go to school to find out what happened with our friends, even from when they left school the day before. There's no more of that. These kids know exactly up to the minute they're walking into the classroom, what's going on with everybody, except for the teacher. She's the only one that doesn't know what's going on. I had one of my teacher friends from college. She messaged me on LinkedIn, and I did a video on just that, about how these kids need to have bed phone times, and phone bedtimes. So they're choices that they need to put down so they can turn their brains off. So I definitely think that's the biggest thing, is just watching this whole demise of these younger people, and we're letting it happen. And I don't know how to stop it. I mean, I have kids and they have their devices too. Luckily, they're not as absorbed. I have one is pretty absorbed, but the other ones are not so much. But
right, yeah, I think it's so I try and describe it in the art of, you can do a click connect type, what I call click relationships, or the more meaningful relationships are then click, connect, and go linked off. And what I mean by linked off is that's a communication strategy, which is ideally in person, but I don't know about you over there in the Northeast, but we're still on a lot of lockdown guidelines, CDC guidelines. So in-person relationships are still not being encouraged, which is a shame because I prefer that. But the next way is obviously, yes, it's a virtual form of communication, is obviously to use a Zoom or phone call or texting, but at least try and get off of a platform to have, a meaningful conversation, kind of like.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I also want to I like to give everybody a heads up here with this, because a lot of this online dating and starting relationships, and it's a whole new thing, and there's lots of good things that come out of that. But I've had a lot of people message me about this, that, they start texting with somebody on, let's say, a platform, and they're typing back and forth, and a friendship develops, and one person is always making an excuse as to why they can't FaceTime or do a Zoom or anything like that. And some of the craziest reasons too, but you feel at that point you have a relationship with this person, that you actually trust them, and you believe why they're saying they can't get on a Zoom or whatever. I mean, I've heard everything from, oh, they're in a secure military base somewhere over in Iraq, and they can't because of the rules there. So anyway, I think that those are all red flags, and people need to really, you may get the feeling that this is a great relationship, but if somebody won't let you see them face to face, something is up. Something is definitely up. And then inevitably what winds up happening is that person then asks for a little financial favor. Oh, maybe could you loan me some money? I need to see, I'll pay you back. I promise. I have whatever going on. And the victim feels like, oh, they're actually in a relationship with this person, so they do offer to help, and then the person gets the money, and then they're never to be heard from again. So it's very sad. It really is. And it happens to a lot of people, and a lot of people are mortified, so they don't tell anyone that they've been a victim of it.
Yeah, it's well, and it's also the it's kind of, you get cheated out of all of the time that you've invested as well. So yeah, it's embarrassing. Early on in my online platform time, particularly through Facebook, that used to happen to me all of the time, in terms of at least people reaching out, and I was single then as well, so made a difference, I think. So, But what I find is that even if you can get to see their email address, very often the extension on the email address will
Yeah.
tell you a lot. There's a lot of weird email addresses out there, so that's a red flag as well. And yeah, like you said, if you can't, oh, and then the other red flag, people got good at using desktop-based phone systems, right? So that was the other thing. They would share a number, and it wasn't really a number. It was actually a number of a desktop device that just happened to have a microphone on it. So those are the other watch outs that I found way back, and that's one of the prime reasons I don't use Facebook anymore. I was always getting hacked and spending hours and hours and hours going back to people saying, I really didn't send you that message. Yeah. And they were saying, Bruce, why did you send me this? You know, why did you send me this offer to this, you know, latest hamster wheel? And it's like, I didn't send you anything. So, so yeah, myself and Facebook, we parted company after the last time I got hacked. And so.
Understandable. And that brings up another good point too about passwords. I know I'm always talking about passwords, but we can't change them often enough. And we also need to have different passwords for different accounts, because if there's a data breach and in that is an email and a password, a username and password, a lot of us use that same information to log into multiple accounts. So, you know, I always use the Grubhub example where it's a small food delivery service that other username and passwords were stolen. So everyone thinks, oh, no big deal. But it is a big deal, because now that same login could be your Facebook login, could be your Bank of America login. It could be, you know, anything. And I know everyone does it because it's convenient, it's easy to remember and stuff like that. But some of us have had these emails forever and a day, and it's you know, probably get a new one, at least for some of your private financial accounts, if not anything else.
That's really good advice. I need to do some upgrades. I did. Again, the one joy of getting a updated, updated smartphone is it forces you to think about or it makes you reset all that stuff. So I spent most of Saturday afternoon trying to dream up passwords that were close enough to what I had that I might have one iota of remembering on the fly. But not making it too making it dissimilar enough to what I had. So that was actually the hardest piece of the upgrade of the phone. Yep. While the phone was churning away doing its thing, you know, I was trying to think of passwords and messing around with passwords. Some of them worked, some of them I'd used before. I'd forgotten I'd used them before. It's just like crazy. So
another good thing to do is like a passphrase. So come up with a phrase, and then you could put some part that's specific to that account, you know, whatever. Mary had a little lamb on LinkedIn, you know, something like that. And then you could change it with some numbers and some other little goodies in there for each of the different accounts.
Okay. So maybe it could be, you know, LinkedIn linkies or something. And then right?
Yeah.
That's a good idea. So the word association helps your brain remember. Is that?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, I'm good at remembering things in threes. So I often bunch threes together, like simpler, faster, better, saving process steps, time, and money. You know, I do those little syncopated things to help me learn. So I don't know if everybody's the same, but maybe syncopated, you know, sets of threes might help people remember different passwords. So what else? We've been going, oh my goodness, look at the time fly, Dana. We are like on a roll here. So what's your last pet peeve? And then we'll talk about the best way to reach out to you if people would like to, number one, connect with you and learn more. So
okay. All right. I'll just touch base on Facebook quizzes. Stop taking the Facebook quizzes. Everybody needs to realize that every time you're taking one of these quizzes, you're giving a little bit more information out about you. It'll, you know, let's say it's, oh, we're going to figure out if you were a dog, what kind of dog you would be. And then they're asking you, what's the, you know, your elementary school, who's your favorite, your first pet you had, all these questions. And if you really think about them, they're very similar to some of the security questions that your credit card company or your bank may be asking you when you're logging in, if they need to have a default. So yes, stop taking those. Or the other thing is, if you can't help yourself and you just have to take those quizzes, then when you're getting asked for a security question when you're setting up a banking account and it's asking for, your mother's maiden name or whatever, you could say grapefruit, right? Grapefruit is a good substitute for your mother's actual maiden name. You just have to remember that that's what you're using for your mother's maiden name. But
right.
yeah,
Well, I have a real life story there. My mom's grandmother's maiden name was Seville, and that's a Seville orange. So yes, I often use not because I'm smart or anything, but because there is a family association with that name. So Seville oranges is a well-known European Spanish orange grove. So yeah, so interesting. You should mention grapefruit and mom. Well, awesome. So do you want to also do you share anything about your dealership when you do lives, or you want to keep it to...
I don't really, not really, because it's more of a local thing. But yes, I've grown up in the car business. My family has had a Ford dealership for a long, long time. I still oversee the operations for that. And then, well, just a little history. So then I opened up an insurance agency back in 2014 or 13. And then I wanted to offer identity theft protection to the clients in around 2016, 17, but I couldn't find a product. So that was how I even got involved in this whole thing. It's all started from the dealership, having the dealership, wanting to offer them insurance. Then after having the insurance clients, then wanting to offer them identity theft. And then videos. Here we are.
Full circle. So perhaps, do you mind sharing which city you have the dealership? Because it's a staple name, right? It's been there a long time.
Yes. So we're in Madison, Connecticut, and the name of the dealership is Hammonasset Ford. Yeah. So if you're in the area and you'd like to buy a car, please feel free to stop by. More than happy to help.
Yes, and I think the F-150 is still the top seller, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And what's the second best seller right now, or is it all F-150s?
Well, there's F-150, then there's a big step down. Then you start getting into some of the SUVs or some of the heavy duty trucks.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I'm not really a Ford historian in terms of I'm very boring when it comes to cars. I like Indy cars, but you can't go buy one of those. You can watch them from a distance, but anyway. Well, cool. So yeah, so if you're watching this as a recording, thank you for your time in going through this. We will come back and respond to any of the questions from the live after the recording goes up on my page. And so what's the best way for people to reach out and connect or learn more about what you're up to, Dana?
I would say LinkedIn is probably the easiest way. And I love growing my connections. So please, if you can find me on there and send me a connection request, I'll definitely accept. And if you have a specific question, you can always ask me.
Right. And the hashtag is?
Identron Mom. So Identron is our identity theft protection product that we have that monitors your credit. And then the mom's just because I'm a mom and I do lots of little videos on helping protect kids too.
Yeah, you do. You're actually a super mom of 4 kids, right?
Well, I have 3 and then my husband has 4. So we have 7.
Oh, that's right. I kind of remembered the 4 from our conversation before. Yeah. So you're a 3 + 7 commingled mom.
It's busy.
Wow. I don't know how you do it. I just don't know how you do it.
Somehow, some way. Just has to happen.
Well, you must be really good at being simpler, faster, better, everything you do. So
yeah.
All right. Well, that's awesome. So thank you, Dana, so much for your time. I know you are a busy professional in, as you said, 3 different arenas in your life and a busy mom too. So
yeah, this was fun though. This was great. I'm glad we got to do this.
Yeah, me too. Well, it was a great, continuation of the Zoom call we had several weeks ago. So
yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, if you could hang for a minute or so, I'll connect with you on how I'm going to get you the materials. And again, thank you. I'm just going to scroll through. We've got lots of activity from Gracie, Karina, Odessa. Going. And many people. Thank you so much. Looks like a very lively set of conversations, which we will come back to after. So Take care, everybody. Be safe. Remember, don't get addicted to the smartphone.
That's right. Yes.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.